Hey, welcome to the Brisbane Small Business Show. I'm Kevin Gammy. Today, I'm really excited to have with me Dave Gregory. Dave has just changed his company name from Dave Gregory to, what is it, Dave?
JustGo.Design. Actually, we still do have David Gregory Media that specializes just in one niche, and we've just expanded a little bit further and broadened our horizons a little bit, bringing on another partner to sort of service more people.
So it's almost like you've got two sides to your personality. You might be a little bit schizophrenic. We won't talk about that too much. We'll talk more about the exciting stuff that you do. Because like you help people automate a lot of their processes and stuff, which I'm a really big fan of. Yeah, I just had this red flash on my screen. I'm sorry about that. I'm a really big fan of the fact that we can automate so many of the processes that we used to have to manually remind ourselves to do and stuff, and things fell through the cracks and got lost and all that. So tell me a little bit more about why would someone invest in automation?
Well, exactly that. Small business owners, I believe, from experience, as well as many people are trying to wear the many hats, and this is exactly as you said. People can let things slip between the cracks when they're trying to do too many things. So you need to focus more on what your expertise is and just try to automate the simpler processes, particularly with the service-based, trade-based industries. There's many things that you can sort of simplify there. We're not going right deep into the the technical jargon of people that have these super complex automated software systems. The bigger marketing companies, etc. We're just talking about service-based businesses that maybe have 2 or 3 staff that have a lot on their plate that can streamline some of those processes by using some simple automations.
And you do a lot with tradies, right? Let's put it out there. You do a lot of this work with tradies, and tradies are exceptionally down-to-earth people, and they just want the practical stuff done. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, and the thing is like. Again, so you've got your advanced software automation, your advanced CRMs, your Keeps, you used to be in Fusionsoft and HubSpot and stuff. So we're not talking about those big learning curve experiences. We're talking about just, hey, we need to get from A to D, for example, and just have a few simple processes. Don't want to have to learn a complete new piece of technology or software. Just some simple steps that can save a lot of time and yeah, get them doing what they do best, which is executing the service.
Now, we just had something funny happen. It said that we're alive already and all that sort of stuff. But for those that we didn't hear the earlier part, Dave does automation for business, particularly trades, and it's really about helping get this practical stuff done to help us basically streamline our processes so that things aren't falling through the cracks, so that we're not missing out on people who are trying to reach us, so we're not missing out on people and forgetting that they're there, so that we're got that follow-up process and mechanism and everything fits into each other, not hugely complex CRM processes and that sort of stuff with multi-layered marketing campaigns and stuff like that. Just the simple stuff. Hey, someone's reached out, make sure we get that and go from there. Is that a good quick catch up, Dave?
That's exactly, yeah, you nailed it in one.
Excellent. Because quite often I miss it, Dave, so don't fear that. So in fact, it goes so much more. But why would someone listen to you?
Hey, I would, because two reasons. I was a tradesman for over 10 years, and my trade was in home automation. So these two things sort of married up together, and I was already in the process of working with electronic automation, and that was how I figured sort of this process out, transition into using my experience in the trade business plus automation, and then, hey, I think my processes that I developed over the 10 years can be handballed off onto other trade industries and help them give back their time, which is what is the most precious thing, right?
Absolutely. So the one thing that we can't get back is time. So it's the biggest investment we've got, and so if we're constantly re-entering information, if we're constantly having to do a whole lot more marketing and just to attract the people, and then we're losing them, then we've got to do that marketing all again, and that's really both expensive in terms of time and money. So this is why this is why this automation is really important. So when you talk about business automation, like, is it just a couple of steps that we're worried about, or is it a whole long stream of things, or what are we talking about?
Well, I like to think about the life cycle of a business or of a job. So if you're in a service-based industry, you'll have like the inquiry that will come in from wherever, whether it's the phone or email or on the messenger whatsoever. So then just quickly,
let's do the flyover first to tell people where we're going. So so inquiry, and then
so you go from inquiry, then you've got to, you might be writing it down in a diary or calling if it goes to your assistant or whatever it is, and then you're going from taking that information and then like having to schedule it into your calendar or into however you're booking your appointments, your paper and pen diary maybe, and then you're having to then
if you've got a team, it gets even more complex, this whole scheduling thing. Yeah, absolutely. Next.
Exactly. You've got quoting. Obviously, you've got to have your quoting process down pat, but you want to sort of keep this in the same workflow. Your documentation for the not just the price of the job or the service, but also like the regulations, maybe some forms, some JSAs or SWIMs that you might need to fill out. Can automate that process, tie that together. Your invoicing, your payment, your reconciliation, your aftercare, like how you communicate with the client during that process and afterwards. Just having a well-oiled machine and making this process sort of just run like clockwork. That's kind of what we want to do when we're trying to automate this sort of job life cycle with a service-based or trade-based business.
And even using that aftercare service with customer success to feed that back into your whole marketing thing, so the whole process can start again.
Right, 100%, yes.
How much easier would life be if all of that was automated, so that one step automatically just went to the next? We're going to lose a whole lot less clients. We're going to keep a whole lot more clients, a lot happier. We're going to give, and we're going to save so much time. So I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about how you go about this.
Okay, so this is the part where I'd like to say, hey, the best CRM for trade service-based businesses is ServiceMate, and it does this, blah blah blah, and hands down, I do believe this. There are some others out there, but what I like to do is take so I figured this out myself by trying to test out different bits and pieces of software. So real simple automation tool is called Zapier. And basically, if you remember the days where you get the program from on your PC, the CD, you jam the CD in and would load up, and the installer wizard would come up, and you just click the buttons and follow the steps. So it's very simple. Once you understand like the process, I've created a couple of videos that are on the small business blog, Brisbane Small Business blog, that shows you exactly how to go through that process. And if you can follow a wizard where you're just clicking start, entering in some details, and it leads you through the process. And so where something might, where you might want to begin before diving into a CRM is just saying, hey, I've got a website and I get inquiries, and like from here, like it gets lost in emails with spam and all this different stuff, and like who's responded to what. So a very, very simple beginning is just creating a database, emails with a spreadsheet. So email inquiry goes directly into a spreadsheet. That's called a Zap. That's the simplest automation. And using like the Google Suite as like the home for the beginning of this automation is where it can start. So you can sort of say, for example, go from that customer inquiry on a website to the Google spreadsheet. You can define what it is, name, contact, phone number, email, whatnot, and then you're starting to build your own database per se. So yes, there's many other pieces of software that you can subscribe to and pay money and build this stuff, but you have to learn this. But most people understand a spreadsheet, especially tradesmen. Sometimes people are already quoting from spreadsheets, so they sort of understand the workflow. And then from there,
we're using spreadsheet or whatever, you help them. Like if they're more sophisticated, you can help them put that straight into a scheduling system that is going to then automatically book in a time for you to go out and do a quote. Yeah.
Well, that's right. So because you'd use the Google spreadsheet as the beginning of every other automation from there. So you can build from that. For example, Zapier gives you 5 free automations without having to sign up for a paid account. It's not very much anyway. It's $19 per month if you wanted to expand once you've grown legs and figured out how this stuff can really benefit you. But in the beginning, you can just test this out before you're actually, deploying anything like this. And you can see the spreadsheet sort of build your database, and from there you can work with, like every other trigger to whatever else you want to do, whether you want to execute a calendar booking, whether you want to do something on some like an SMS notification maybe out to your staff. And I plug this in then into ServiceMate. So rather than having to go and to enter in the customer details, I can automate that customer inquiry that gets funneled through the spreadsheet then directly into ServiceMate CRM. So you've skipped the process of having to do the data entry. The customer's already done the data entry into your to your CRM system, which in this case is ServiceMate. And then that previous job lifecycle that we discussed, going from job creation to scheduling to quoting to invoicing, that's already started. And that you as the operation manager or whatever it is can just go from there and just sort of keep going.
And the beauty of this is you can start identifying where prospects are falling off, right? So you can tell whether you've had a lot of inquiries that have not led to many quotes, or you've had a lot of inquiries that have led to a lot of quotes that have led to not many jobs, or you've had a lot of quotes that have led to a lot of inquiries to jobs being booked but not being done. And you can actually really clearly identify where the holes are, because we've all, maybe everybody else hasn't, but had that phone call, aren't you meant to be here right now?
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I'm going to pretend other people have had that problem too, because that'll make me feel better about myself. So by automating these processes, we can start, and you're using Zapier as a tool, and there's lots of different ways to learn Zapier. If somebody wants to do it themselves, you can do it for them, of course, and that will save them having to learn all this technical gumph. But there are ways that if you want to go through that and do that, you can do it. You've got a particular process that actually helps people make sure that they're constantly building that database and list of people, of prospects that are there, that we're then following that flow through that customer journey that you're talking about, through inquiry, scheduling, quoting, documentation and invoicing, your post-care, your payments and reconciliations and all that sort of stuff, so that you can tell exactly where people are at any one point in time.
That's right. And look, just to bring you back to the point you made earlier about so it does 2 things you reminded me of, and one was yes, the tradesperson, whatever, turning up on time. So there's 2 things that I experienced in the field being a tradesperson myself, and one was the first to act. Most cases would get the job. So when you would get these inquiries from your Google Ads or whatever it is, if you were responding to the phone call immediately and or the inquiry, generally you'd have a pretty high success rate. There might be someone that beats you for a lower price. You probably don't want to go with that client in the first place, but generally the first person to act to do that. But that leaves you as a business, like on the road or whatever it is, having to constantly man the phone. It's not a very good use of your time, and you're being distracted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the second thing is client communication, when you're like running around trying to go to every different client and servicing different clients and trying to get your staff to implement this. Now, to try and enforce them, how you need to text and call the client before you get there, let them know you're behind, let them know you're on your way. They may or may not do that. And so those 2 processes, automating that beginning part, so the instant sort of like response to an inquiry, as well as the client communication to the client, like email before your the job is, like when you go to the dentist or to a doctor's appointment, you get that appointment reminder, getting the SMS reminder maybe in the morning, and also like en route to a job, you can get this client communication when they've had these like 3 or 4 points of contact before you've even turned up at the door, but you haven't lifted a finger to actually do that. It's all happened automatically. By the time you turn up at that door and they are like, wow, this is a really well-oiled machine, and they're really impressed. And it's like you've got this massive team behind you, but it's really the software and these little systems that you're putting together that are helping you, provide this real high level of service, which is what we want to do.
And that's the absolute point, is that it helps you improve that customer satisfaction, which at the end of the day is only going to be more repeat business, customers that you don't have to keep going back to and keep marketing to time and time again. But with the automation that you can create that automatic nurturing as well anyway, as part of all of this, an extension to this process, so that even after you've been there, they've got the, hey, how did we go? They've given you a nice thing that's gone into your marketing. But on top of that, then they've gone into a nurture campaign where they'll come up with every now and again, hey, just checking if we can help you out at all, and nice and simple stuff.
100%. And another follow-up onto that would be, like you can set, say, maybe 2 or 3 days after you've completed this service, a friendly little reminder that shoots out a, hey, you're satisfied with our service, please leave us a review at our Google page here. Just helps boost that sort of presence online as well. And, whether you want to incentivize them or not, give them a voucher or something like this, they can click on that link and they can leave you a review. And this is part of this sort of, this cycle that continues to revolve around and help build that online presence as well, and that polished look.
So imagine you've spent your COVID downtime in fixing up this automation stuff, right? Imagine that instead of just having a holiday, or instead of panicking about all the other things, and there's so many different things that you can be thinking about, but imagine you do fix this automation stream over this time. I want you to look at what your business looks like coming out of COVID, where somebody inquiries, they get an instant feedback, you're on the phone to them fairly quickly because you've been alerted to that, and you can call them back, and respond relatively quickly. From there, they're able to schedule, you're able to get there on time, they're getting reminders about that. The quoting is made simple because it's automated. It goes straight into both your accounting systems. Your client gets a copy of that documentation. Your whole invoicing is then nice and simple. Automatically, they're being followed up and asking you to do Google reviews and small business reviews too, I'll put out there.
Yes.
Your payments are automatically being reconciled, so you're not having to lift a finger with that. And you're able to keep that post-care so that you can both get more reviews and that you can nurture them for the next time they have a job.
Exactly.
How much easier is your business going to be? I've got to say, I love the idea of automation. I love how we can use new technology for good instead of just being worried about it. And I think this is one of the biggest investments that you could make in your business. So thanks very much. Speaking of which, there is the digital grant has been put on hold at the moment, and I'm taking it to the Queensland government, asking them to open up all of the grants immediately. If you can sign our petition at bit.ly/support-small business, it just goes straight to the petition that's on the Queensland government, in the Queensland government parliament. Nobody gets your details. It just basically, they verify that you're a Queenslander. You get added onto the petition list. My goal is to get 5,000 plus signatures on this, right? We're sitting at 500 at the moment. I want to get out there as fast and as quickly as possible. Dave, can you promise me that you're going to send it to all your database?
100%. We've had some experience with the Smarty grants, the digital grants, with the Advancing Queensland. I think it's a brilliant incentive, and we definitely should get that back on track again. We do have a handful of clients and business network people that we can spread this out, so the more the merrier. Great incentive by you there, Kevin. Appreciate it.
we are small business. We do employ 44% of the state's population, working population, and yet the Queensland government's just completely forgotten about us. Let's get back on the agenda. Let's all sign the petition, get it out there, share it with your mates. Let's get the government helping us again.
100%. That's brilliant.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Dave. Really awesome stuff. Look at how you can simply automate your business. You know, Dave is an expert in this field. He is a tradie who's gone into automating his own business, or was a tradie. Once a tradie, always a tradie, Dave. That's what I found. I bet you tinker around your home all the time, fixing up these.
Sometimes it's nice to, you know, to
get back into tradie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But he has moved on to help other tradies, and that's really cool. Thanks very much for your time.
Cheers, Kevin. Thank you.